All right, let's dive on in on this first. The NBA has made its valiant return. We have basketball on the professional level for men's that we have been waiting for. And for me, the most exciting part about this is that the NBA, like the NHL, were forced to actually stop their seasons midway. And to be honest, I wasn't sure if they were really going to be capable of bringing these back. And we've lucked out with both of them making their return. NHL making their return this past weekend. The NBA starting back up last Thursday. Talked about it on the last show together with Jimmy that the NBA have been doing a great job of having their bubble set up. They had 386 tests. All came back negative. So it looks like the bubble's been working outside of Lou Williams going to Magic City and getting wings and coming back. He quarantined and he's safe. Zion Williamson left the bubble, came back, quarantined. He's now playing. He's played 2 games since. So everything that they have in place just in case is working out to borderline perfection. We haven't seen this really with many others, especially like with baseball. If you think about the situation they're going with right now, is every time you look up, there's more players getting tested positive for coronavirus, and it's basically going up. Like their numbers are rising. It's not just having one guy, 2 guys. No, just most recently the St. Louis Cardinals had 13 players, or was it 19? 13 players. Yeah, 13 players of their team had tested positive because of stupidity. And the one thing I said about the bubbles that was concerning for me is can you trust everybody in there to do their part? Right now, this entire pandemic, if you really think about it, is a big group project. And you can tell right now who in the group project actually participates to get the good grade and who participates just to get a grade. And right now, we're showing that most of America likes to get just a grade, which is just a pass, which is a C. And the ones that want those A's are the ones wearing the mask and getting pissed off. That's just kind of how things go. And so I'm excited, like I said, because the NBA has made a return. And they've done a lot of elements and changes to get engagement from the fans and just from the atmosphere to make it feel like basketball. To be honest, every game I've watched felt like I was watching the pros. Felt like I was watching them in their own or even arenas to an extent. I mean, of course, the only thing that you don't have most commonly is the floor. The flooring is the exact same for all of them, but I love the 4 elements, and I want to touch on those 4 elements that they're doing that I think is awesome, rather than touch on the games, because since I'm gonna have a solo show later this week, I'll talk about the first set of games, in which I can sum up in one word, which is sloppy. They all look rusty as hell. Defense looks sloppy, passes are all over the place, but at the same time, they still look a hell of a lot better than they would if they were college players. I promise you, I would not watch college basketball in a bubble. Won't do it. Especially at this large of a gap of time off. Nope, won't do it. It will be awful. But this one, they actually look pretty good. They're just, like I said, rusty and sloppy. But so the 4 elements that the NBA has added to the games that I thought was pretty impressive and that's going very well is they're piping in music and the fan sounds, which is awesome. A lot better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I was a little nervous about it. I thought that, okay, you're going to put in this artificial noise. It's going to be really, really weird. But no, it kind of feels like you're watching the pros and people are actually there. And what's really cool that my team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, as you can see here, actually had fans send in recordings of their voices doing chants and anything they would do during the game. I think even boos, just all kinds of fan noises. And they put it together in a hodgepodge to make it sound like an actual authentic Thunder game in Loud City. Even better, they had the announcer, Mario, do the player intros. He's doing announcements during the game. Get ready for some Thunder defense, all of that stuff. And it sounds really, really good. It sounds really authentic. Like, I mean, of course it's authentic because it's him doing it, but it really feels like he's in the arena doing all the announcing and stuff. So I thought that was very much impressive of adding those elements to really give the players that feel of home. Then the next piece they added in with the music is they're actually doing the alternation. So they're actually playing home and away games, which I was wondering how they're going to make that, how they're going to be able to do that. And so, being that I've DJ'd in minor leagues for years and in some major games and for some Thunder games in my past, having that element to where you transition from defense to offense and keeping up with the pace of the game, it's one of those that I know a lot of players utilize that as their rhythm. It helps them get into their groove. Certain beats and stuff really gets them. You'll notice that if you listen to the beat and you watch the point guard or whoever has the ball move, they seem to move in sequence with the sounds. It's really weird, but if you pay attention to it, you'll notice it a lot of the times. And you can tell when it's a track that players really like because they start to groove based upon that beat. And so I've noticed that that's what they're doing here and in the bubble. They're actually playing offense and defensive tracks based upon who has the ball. That's cool. That is a nice touch of a little element that people don't pay attention to as much. I mean, if you really listen to it, you'll hear it. And I thought that was really cool that they added that feel of home for these players. Then, of course, the additional home and away elements that they've added to it is the banners. They've got the court has actual teams like sponsorships and stuff, which is pretty cool. Like I noticed some stuff from like Oklahoma City. Like the Jazz got Vivint on the bottom of their court. Lakers with Wish. You see Oklahoma City's got like Paycom and Sonic. They add all of those elements on the court to make you think that you're actually at that team's home arena too. So that little touch, that little bit of detail, I felt like was really, really cool. And the last thing that I noticed that they've added is they have the virtual fans. Now, I know a lot of you have noticed that. We saw Paul Pierce was attending the Celtics game. Chris Bosh was attending a game as well. I think it was a Heat game, and they're all sitting in the virtual stands. And they basically have a big video board, and they have fans at home in front of their camera, similar to what I'm doing right now. Or if you're listening to the pod, I'm actually recording this also for YouTube, so you can check us out on our YouTube channel, Unfair, with Jay and Jimmy, and you can see me actually talk at the same time as listening to this exact same voice you've been listening to. But anywho, they're actually fans sitting in front of their cameras, their webcams or whatnot, and they're pushing them into this big video board. I want to write an article about that, of the technology that they're leveraging with it, because it's really weird. And to be honest, that's the one element I think is just kind of off base, because I don't think you can hear those fans. At least I can't tell if you can hear them. And to me, seeing them and hearing them would have added more to it, but at the same time, a lot of those fans aren't really that engaging. If you notice, they all look like they're bored and they're all confused exactly what's going on. And that's the beauty of the world, is most people don't know how to use technology. We're at that point right here. But it's really, really cool seeing them sitting there, watching the game, enjoying it in a weird way. They're pretending like they're actually at the game. So the NBA has taken all the elements that you want to have the feel of being at home, and they're adding it to it. And I feel like it's kind of giving some teams a little bit of home court and road advantage. You can feel a little bit of electricity, especially as they add the little tweaks from like Oklahoma City, adding their loud city chants and stuff to make you feel like you're actually in OKC. So NBA, fantastic job on the restart. You get an A+ for that. Shout out to hockey as well. Kind of want to give them a point. The way that they're doing it right now is they've actually added, they got 2 bubble sites, one in Toronto, one in Edmonton, and for East and West, and they're doing like a tournament round robin setup to kind of get them started. There's a lot more details behind it, and I'll talk about that on the next show if you guys want to hear more about hockey and how they're doing things. But it's really cool how theirs is set. It's all in Canada. It's working. People aren't getting sick. No positive tests. And they're, like I said, like the NBA, they've restarted this past weekend. So overall, it's a success. It's 100% a success, in my opinion, because they're actually playing and it's meaningful games to this point. The ratings aren't showing that they're the best right now, but I understand why they're not the best. We've got multiple sports to deal with. The W was able to start their season in a bubble in Florida as well. So we've got WNBA basketball that's going on some of the main channels. Hockey has started up this past weekend, so they don't really count as much. But baseball has been going on. So baseball still got all the prime time because they're going on. And then MLS is also playing. And then you have golf. You have NASCAR. Most of the sports in tennis, I think tennis had a tournament this past weekend. So most of the sports that are played are all playing at one time. So of course you're gonna lose out on a lot of fans because there's so many options based upon what you really like to do. This time of the year is typically baseball, golf, tennis, and W. That's it. MLS as well, but it's more spaced out based upon when the games are actually coming on. You don't typically have NBA and NHL added into it. Now I'm ready to see what it's going to look like when you add college football and NFL football into the mix, since the NBA is going to be going on through till October. It's going to be really crazy looking at the ratings at that point because it's going to be different. A lot of the media pundits out there and these weird publications are saying, I'm just going to call them weird to be nice at this point, but they're saying that it's because of them being woke. Nah, it's just that a lot of the startup of this, we didn't expect it to happen. And so most of these games aren't that meaningful. We aren't there yet. The meaningful games will come later into it. And then when the playoffs start, those ratings are going to be ridiculous. I promise you that. Don't get it twisted. They're going to be ridiculous.